Stories and Documentary Network.
In the shadows of history lie the stories of civilizations that vanished almost overnight. Societies that once flourished with grandeur, only to disappear into the mists of time. Among these enigmatic chapters, the Bronze Age collapse stands as one of the most perplexing. Entire kingdoms fell, trade networks crumbled, and sophisticated cultures were reduced to rubble, leaving historians with haunting questions. What could bring such mighty civilizations to their knees? Was it war, famine, natural disasters, or something far more elusive? Amid the echoes of lost civilizations, Angkor emerges as a singular marvel. At the heart of the Khmer Empire lay Angkor Wat, a sprawling temple complex surrounded by a labyrinth of canals, reservoirs, and artificial lakes. This hydraulic system was no mere convenience. It was the lifeblood of a civilization, an engineering masterpiece that transformed vast swaths of land into fertile, productive landscapes. Water flowed with precision, supporting rice fields, villages, and ceremonial spaces, linking human ingenuity with nature's rhythms. Yet even this seemingly invincible system could not shield Angkor from the forces that would eventually bring the Khmer Empire to decline. The questions linger. How did such a civilization rise so high? And what secrets lie within its water-bound heart? The story of the Khmer Empire begins in the 9th century CE, in the lush plains of present-day Cambodia. Emerging from the ashes of earlier Southeast Asian kingdoms, the Khmer established a political and cultural powerhouse that would dominate the region for centuries. The empire's strength was rooted in its ability to harmonize human ambition with the natural environment, particularly the mastery of water management, a skill that would define its cities, agriculture, and monumental architecture. At the heart of the empire stood Angkor, a capital city conceived not only as a seat of political power, but as a living embodiment of cosmology and divine order. The Khmer kings were not merely rulers, they were considered earthly manifestations of deities. Their authority legitimized through architecture, ritual, and the careful orchestration of water. The construction of Angkor Wat in the early 12th century under King Suryavarman II marked the apex of this vision. Stretching across more than 162 hectares, Angkor Wat was designed with astonishing precision. Its corridors and towers reflecting celestial alignments and the Hindu cosmology of Mount Meru, the mythical center of the universe. But Angkor Wat was far more than a temple. Surrounding it was an extensive network of reservoirs, known as barays, and canals that channeled water throughout the region. The largest of these, the West Baray, measured over 7 kilometers in length, dwarfing modern engineering projects in scale. This water network enabled the Khmer to transform otherwise dry and unpredictable lands into fertile rice paddies, allowing the empire to sustain a population numbering in the hundreds of thousands. Control of water was control of life itself. The success of the empire depended upon it. The empire's expansion mirrored the sophistication of its infrastructure. Roads, causeways, and bridges linked Angkor with distant territories, while fortified towns ensured security and trade. Through military campaigns, diplomacy, and religious influence, the Khmer extended their reach across much of Southeast Asia, including present-day Thailand, Laos, and southern Vietnam. Yet expansion was not simply about conquest. It was deeply entwined with the empire's hydraulic prowess. By regulating rivers, constructing canals, and building reservoirs, the Khmer could feed armies, irrigate fields, and maintain the social order necessary for a sprawling, centralized state. The grandeur of Angkor Wat and its water system reflected the Khmer understanding that society and environment were inseparable. Urban planning integrated the natural contours of the land, guiding rivers and storing monsoon waters for times of drought. Reservoirs acted as both practical tools and sacred spaces. Their mirrored surfaces symbolized the cosmic ocean, reflecting the temple spires above. In this way, the Khmer created a living, breathing civilization that was simultaneously functional, aesthetic, and spiritual. A civilization in which engineering and faith coexisted in perfect harmony. Yet even at the height of prosperity, subtle signs of vulnerability existed. The empire's dependence on an intricate water system made it susceptible to environmental fluctuations. Monsoons could either nourish or devastate, and maintenance required constant labor and coordination. Political power was centralized, and a disruption at the heart of governance could ripple across the entire empire. In retrospect, the very elements that enabled Angkor's greatness, the mastery of water, the vast population, the centralized authority, would also contribute to its fragility. As we explore the Khmer Empire's rise, one cannot help but marvel at the ingenuity that allowed humans to reshape the landscape with such precision and vision. But history, as always, reminds us that no empire, no matter how advanced, is immune to the inexorable forces of nature and time. The story of Angkor Wat's hydraulic system is not just one of triumph. It is the prelude to a mystery that echoes the broader enigmas of the Bronze Age collapse, hinting at lessons still relevant for civilizations today. Beneath the awe-inspiring towers of Angkor Wat lay a secret far more complex than stone and sculpture, a network of water, invisible at first glance, yet the very foundation of the Khmer Empire. This was not merely a system for irrigation or transportation, it was a lifeline, a testament to the extraordinary ingenuity of a civilization that reshaped its environment with precision and vision. The hydraulic system of Angkor was a marvel of scale and sophistication. Central to this network were the barays, enormous rectangular reservoirs that captured and stored the monsoon waters that swept across the plains. The West Baray alone stretched more than 7 kilometers in length, holding enough water to irrigate thousands of hectares of rice paddies. These barays were not haphazard constructions. Their embankments were engineered to withstand floods and retain water throughout dry seasons, while their alignment often mirrored cosmological symbolism, blending practicality with spiritual significance. Complementing the barays was an intricate lattice of canals and channels. Some carried water directly to fields. Others acted as conduits, redirecting excess flows to prevent flooding. Archaeologists have discovered evidence of sluices, dams, and levees designed to regulate the movement of water with astonishing accuracy. Every channel, every reservoir, was part of a carefully orchestrated choreography, ensuring that the empire could thrive regardless of seasonal extremes. This was a civilization that understood hydrology long before modern science could define it. The water system was more than a tool for survival. It was seamlessly integrated into urban planning. Roads and causeways followed the paths of canals, while temples and administrative centers were positioned strategically to harness both aesthetic beauty and functional efficiency. Settlements clustered around water sources, creating a pattern of urban development that reflected both hierarchy and practicality. The Khmer engineers had created a city that was alive, dynamic, and interdependent, where every drop of water supported life, agriculture, and spiritual practice. Yet, despite its brilliance, the system harbored mysteries. How did the Khmer transport enormous volumes of water with such precision across vast distances? How were these structures maintained over centuries, especially given the labor required and the tropical environment that accelerated decay? LiDAR scans and modern archaeological studies have revealed canals that extend beyond the visible ruins, suggesting an even more extensive network than previously imagined. A hidden infrastructure that hints at knowledge lost to time. As we gaze upon the tranquil barays today, it is tempting to forget that they were once part of a living, breathing system, vulnerable to the forces of nature. For all its ingenuity, the water network was a double-edged sword, capable of sustaining life, yet susceptible to disruption. And as history would show, the collapse of this hydraulic marvel would foreshadow the decline of one of the greatest civilizations of Southeast Asia. Water was not merely a resource for the Khmer, it was the axis around which society revolved. The intricate hydraulic system transformed the Angkor Plains into one of the most productive agricultural regions in the ancient world. Rice, the staple of the Khmer diet, depended entirely on the precise control of water. The ability to manipulate flows, store excess monsoon water, and irrigate vast tracts of land allowed multiple harvests per year, supporting a population that may have numbered several 100,000 at its peak. The significance of the water system extended beyond food production. It shaped social hierarchies and political power. Control over water meant control over life itself. Kings, priests, and administrators wielded authority not only through military might, but by orchestrating the flow of water. Communities were organized around canals and barays, their labor mobilized to maintain these structures, reinforce embankments, and ensure the reliability of irrigation. Water management became a civic duty, a ritualistic and practical enterprise that bound society together. The hydraulic network also influenced religion and cosmology. Reservoirs were often considered sacred, symbolic of the primordial oceans surrounding Mount Meru, the mythological center of the universe. Temples and barays formed symbolic and functional pairs. The reflection of temple spires in the water of barays created an awe-inspiring spiritual tableau, blending the material and divine. For the Khmer, managing water was an act of devotion as much as an exercise in engineering. Yet this symbiosis with nature came with inherent risks. The system was exquisitely sensitive to environmental changes. Prolonged droughts could leave fields parched, threatening famine, while excessive monsoon rains could overwhelm canals, leading to flooding and destruction. Sedimentation in canals and reservoirs required constant labor to maintain capacity, and any lapse in maintenance could ripple across the agricultural landscape, destabilizing the economy and the social fabric. Archaeological evidence shows periods of rapid expansion and subsequent contraction in water management infrastructure, suggesting that environmental stressors may have been mounting long before the Khmer Empire's ultimate decline. Studies of tree rings and sediment cores indicate significant climatic fluctuations during the 13th and 14th centuries, including cycles of intense drought followed by heavy monsoon rains. These oscillations would have placed enormous strain on the hydraulic system, revealing the delicate balance upon which the empire depended. The impact of water management extended even further, shaping settlement patterns, trade routes, and defense strategies. Canals were used not only for irrigation but for transportation, moving goods and facilitating commerce. Villages and administrative centers were strategically located along water courses, allowing the state to monitor and control the flow of resources. The entire landscape became a living infrastructure, a testament to the Khmer's holistic vision of society, economy, and environment. In this sense, Angkor's hydraulic system was both the empire's greatest achievement and its most vulnerable point. It provided the foundation for prosperity, urban density, and monumental architecture, yet it demanded vigilance, adaptation, and centralized coordination. The story of water in Angkor is not merely one of engineering triumph. It is a narrative of human ingenuity confronted by the unyielding forces of nature. And as the system began to falter, the delicate threads that held the empire together began to unravel, hinting at the dramatic events that would follow in the twilight of the Khmer civilization. For centuries, Angkor's hydraulic system had been a symbol of Khmer ingenuity and power, a living testament to humanity's ability to harness nature. But by the 14th century, subtle signs of strain began to appear. Sediment clogged the canals, reservoirs lost capacity, and seasonal water flows became increasingly unpredictable. Where once water had nourished fields and mirrored temple spires, now stagnation and overgrowth hinted at neglect. Villages that had thrived along the banks of canals fell silent. The very lifeblood of the empire seemed to falter, foreshadowing a collapse that would echo the broader mysteries of the Bronze Age. Historians and archaeologists have pieced together evidence of a society grappling with multiple crises. Climate reconstructions indicate that the region experienced prolonged cycles of drought, followed by periods of intense flooding. Such fluctuations would have placed enormous stress on the water management infrastructure, requiring constant repair and adaptation. Even minor lapses could have resulted in crop failures, food shortages, and social unrest. Overuse of resources likely compounded the problem. The dense population of Angkor, dependent on a finely tuned irrigation system, may have exceeded the land's capacity. Reservoirs and canals, once meticulously maintained, began to silt and degrade. Centralized administration, which had once coordinated the flow of water across hundreds of kilometers, struggled to respond to these pressures, leaving local communities vulnerable. In some areas, entire settlements were abandoned, swallowed by the jungle that had once been tamed. Conflict and political instability may also have played a role. As external threats increased and royal authority weakened, the capacity to manage a sophisticated water system diminished. Angkor Wat, which had once reflected the divine order of the cosmos, became a relic of a bygone era. By the 15th century, the capital itself was largely abandoned, its temples and canals slowly reclaimed by nature. The story of Angkor mirrors other great collapses of ancient civilizations, from the sudden decline of the Mycenaean kingdoms to the fall of Bronze Age cities in the eastern Mediterranean, where environmental stress, Overextension and societal pressures converged to unravel complex societies. The decline of Angkor, while tragic, offers a profound lesson. No matter how advanced a civilization, human ingenuity alone cannot fully control the forces of nature. The Khmer Empire's hydraulic marvels, once symbols of mastery over water, became emblematic of fragility. A stark reminder that even the greatest achievements can falter when confronted with environmental and social instability. And yet, these ruins also hint at resilience, ingenuity, and the enduring human desire to understand, shape, and live in harmony with the natural world. Long hidden beneath layers of sediment, vegetation, and time, the true scale of Angkor's hydraulic system began to emerge only in recent decades. Traditional excavations had revealed glimpses of barays, canals, and reservoirs, but the extent of this engineering marvel remained obscured until modern technology began to peel back the veil of history. One of the most revolutionary tools in this quest has been LiDAR, light detection and ranging, a remote sensing technology capable of scanning dense jungle canopies. LiDAR surveys have revealed hundreds of kilometers of previously unknown canals, ponds, and embankments, extending far beyond the visible ruins. Entire networks of water management, once assumed lost, have been mapped with astonishing clarity, illustrating a level of planning and coordination that rivals any ancient civilization in history. These discoveries have transformed our understanding of Angkor, showing it not as a static city of temples, but as a dynamic, interconnected urban landscape reliant on sophisticated hydraulic engineering. Excavations have complemented these aerial surveys. Archaeologists have uncovered sluices, dams, and reservoirs, often preserved beneath centuries of sediment. Inscriptions and temple reliefs provide additional insight, suggesting that water management was not only a practical endeavor but a sacred duty. Kings and priests oversaw the flow of water, regulating it as part of their divine mandate, blending governance, religion, and engineering into a single system of control. Pottery, tools, and remnants of embankments indicate the labor and organization required to sustain such infrastructure, highlighting the complex societal machinery behind what at first appears to be simple canals and reservoirs. These archaeological revelations also shed light on the challenges faced by the Khmer. Sediment analysis and hydrological modeling suggest that certain reservoirs were intentionally oversized, possibly as buffers against drought or extreme flooding. Yet even these precautions could not fully mitigate the environmental volatility that plagued the region. The evidence of abandoned canals and silted reservoirs underscores the vulnerability inherent in such dependence on a centralized water network. Modern studies have gone further, exploring the interaction between climate, landscape, and society. Paleoclimatology reveals cycles of drought and flood that coincided with periods of political instability, suggesting that environmental stress played a critical role in Angkor's decline. This evidence has prompted comparisons with other civilizations affected by climate shifts, from the collapse of the Maya cities in Central America to the disintegration of the late Bronze Age cultures of the Mediterranean. Angkor's story, once hidden beneath the forest canopy, now serves as a bridge connecting patterns of human adaptation, resilience, and eventual fragility across time and space. Yet for all that has been uncovered, many mysteries remain. LiDAR maps show canals leading to nowhere, barays whose purpose is still debated, and reservoirs whose precise function, ritual, agricultural, or defensive, remains unclear. Every excavation, every new technology, reveals as much intrigue as it solves, leaving historians and archaeologists with tantalizing glimpses of knowledge just out of reach. The combination of meticulous excavation, remote sensing, and interdisciplinary research has redefined what we know about Angkor. It is no longer just a city of temples. It is a testament to human ingenuity, ambition, and the delicate balance between society and environment. The hydraulic system, once a silent lifeline, now speaks volumes, telling stories of triumph, of careful planning, and of eventual decline. And as researchers continue to explore this lost world, Angkor continues to whisper its secrets, inviting us to ponder not only how civilizations rise, but why they fall. Despite centuries of study, Angkor Wat continues to guard its deepest secrets. Archaeologists and historians have mapped vast networks of canals, barays, and reservoirs, Yet fundamental questions remain unanswered. How did the Khmer engineers manage to transport and regulate enormous volumes of water with such precision across an unpredictable landscape? Were some canals designed for ceremonial or symbolic purposes rather than practical irrigation? And why do some reservoirs and channels appear to lead nowhere, their true function lost to time? Scholars have proposed numerous theories. Some suggest that the water system functioned as a buffer against climate extremes, storing excess monsoon water to prevent famine during droughts. Others argue that certain reservoirs had a purely ritualistic or cosmological role, designed to reflect the heavens and reinforce the divine authority of the king. Some researchers speculate that the system may have included flood control mechanisms to protect temples and settlements, a sophisticated safety net that integrated religion, engineering, and urban planning. Yet, for every hypothesis, new mysteries arise. LiDAR scans reveal canals extending beyond the known boundaries of Angkor, hinting at a level of regional control previously unimagined. Some barays appear to have been modified over centuries, leaving traces of expansions, partial reconstructions, and shifts in water flow that suggest adaptive responses to environmental or social pressures. These alterations tell a story of a civilization constantly negotiating with its environment, but also of vulnerabilities that may have hastened its decline. Perhaps the most captivating mystery of all is the philosophical question: did the Khmer perceive water as a divine force, a societal utility, or both? The interplay between spiritual belief and practical necessity remains shrouded in ambiguity, inviting speculation, debate, and wonder. It is precisely this uncertainty, the blend of human genius and hidden knowledge, that continues to enthrall scholars and visitors alike, ensuring that Angkor Wat remains not just an architectural marvel, but a symbol of the profound mysteries of civilization itself. Angkor Wat's hydraulic system has left an indelible mark on history, its influence echoing far beyond the 15th century collapse of the Khmer Empire. The engineering ingenuity of these waterworks set a precedent for future civilizations in Southeast Asia and beyond, demonstrating that urban planning, agriculture, and spirituality could be seamlessly integrated. The lessons embedded within this system resonate with contemporary society: the importance of sustainable resource management, the consequences of environmental overreach, and the delicate balance required to sustain dense populations. Modern engineers and hydrologists have studied Angkor as a model of water management and urban planning. Its ability to capture, store, and distribute water with minimal technological tools highlights principles that are still relevant today. Reservoirs, canals, and sluices functioned as a coordinated system, illustrating that long-term sustainability requires foresight, centralized coordination, and adaptive responses to environmental challenges. In a world increasingly facing water scarcity and climate unpredictability, the Khmer example offers a cautionary tale. Ingenuity alone is insufficient without careful stewardship. Beyond practical lessons, Angkor Wat has inspired generations of architects, historians, and archaeologists. Its integration of functionality, aesthetics, and spirituality demonstrates that engineering can serve multiple purposes simultaneously, providing nourishment, safety, beauty, and meaning. The very act of rediscovering and interpreting these systems reconnects humanity to the ingenuity of our ancestors, reminding us that great civilizations are defined not only by monuments, but by the thoughtful organization of society and resources. Yet perhaps the most enduring lesson is philosophical. Even the most sophisticated human creations are vulnerable. Angkor Wat, for all its brilliance, could not withstand the combined forces of climate, social complexity, and environmental pressure indefinitely. Its ruins serve as both inspiration and warning, a testament to what humans can achieve, and a reminder that even extraordinary achievements require ongoing care, adaptation, and respect for the natural world. The story of Angkor Wat and the Khmer Empire is a narrative of human ambition, ingenuity, and the enduring mysteries of civilization. Here we witness the heights of architectural and engineering brilliance, the power of centralized authority, and the subtle yet profound influence of nature on society. The hydraulic system that once sustained a thriving empire now lies in quiet ruin, a haunting reminder that even the most advanced societies are ultimately subject to forces beyond their control. Yet in that fragility lies beauty and wisdom. Angkor Wat continues to captivate, inspire, and challenge us, not merely as a monument of stone and water, but as a symbol of human potential and vulnerability. It teaches us that innovation and foresight are essential, but that adaptability, humility, and respect for the environment are equally critical to the survival of civilizations. As we reflect on the rise and fall of Angkor, we are invited to consider the lessons of history, that human ingenuity can shape landscapes and societies in remarkable ways, but that all achievements, no matter how grand, exist within the delicate balance of nature and time. In the silent reflection of the barays, the enduring spires of temples, and the whispers of the jungle, Angkor Wat speaks across the centuries, a call to marvel, to learn, and to remember.